Here we are, and welcome to the South by Southwest edition of the Friday Night Movie Podcast. We have with us probably the guest we've been most excited for because we have been fans of hers for a long time, Olivia Taylor Dudley. Welcome to the family.
Hello. So happy to be here.
So we, of course, first fell in love with you in ONYX, The Fortuitous, and The Talisman of Souls, one of like our all-time favorite, podcast fave movies. But you're also the star and have an incredible performance in Touch Me, which has already rocked Sundance and is now rocking at South by Southwest. How does it feel to be riding the wave of these huge festivals?
I mean, it's amazing. I feel honored. The first time I went to Sundance was with ONYX 2 years ago, and we had an amazing time. And I was like, dream come true, bucket list, love it. And then when we got in with Touch Me, I was like, are you kidding me? Like another horror comedy? This is amazing. Like the midnight section at Sundance it's iconic. It's like, it's such a cool audience. It's such an amazing festival, obviously. So it was such an honor to get in with this movie. And it played really well. Like the Sundance audiences loved it, especially our midnight screening. And then we found out shortly after that we got into South by. And I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's so hard to get into both festivals. Two amazing festivals. So
I mean, yeah, it's very hard to get into one, let alone both.
I know.
It's a pretty big seal of approval there.
Yeah, we just have some really amazing champions out there. Some of these programmers just really dig this movie.
That's awesome. Well, we love horror comedy. That's one of our favorite genres. We cover it as much as possible. You in this movie, probably more than ONYX, you bring a real dramatic edge. Your character Joey is going through a lot, is dealing with a lot of trauma, but also is bitingly hilarious with her reactions in the scenes. How do you navigate horror comedy? Is that your dream genre, or you've just found it?
I love horror comedy, but horror is my favorite genre. Like it's what got me into the business. It's what made me want to be an actor, was horror movies. And so I've done a lot of horror movies, and I ended up doing quite a bit of comedy back in the day because I had a web series called 5 Second Films. So I got into doing a lot of comedy. And then horror comedies just became popular, which was really nice. So, and it just seems like I'm surrounded in a group of friends that just love making horror comedies. So I got really lucky with both of these films that I knew people involved. I mean, obviously ONYX, I helped Andrew make, and this movie I'm also a producer on. But I just got really lucky that I have really funny people around me who also love horror. I don't know. I love the balance of the two. I think a lot of times I get hired to not be the comedic relief, which I hate. I love being the comedic relief. But this movie, Touch Me, is like a really good balance of both for my performance. I get to be very dramatic and sad and go to really dark places, but also the movie's so ridiculous that like everybody's going to be a comedic relief at some point in this movie, and everybody really kills it.
It runs the gamut from seriously unpacking serious trauma, and there's some big reveals related to your trauma, to aliens in tracksuits breakdancing.
Yes.
Which for me is my algorithm. So it makes works perfect for me.
Yeah, we hope it just finds its perfect audience that loves those things.
So I'm curious, in your role as producer on the film, what did that mean in this case with Touch Me?
With Touch Me, I came on during post as a producer. I didn't come in the beginning. I got cast late because I was on a different film, and my friend David Lawson, who's one of the main producers on this movie, called me up and was like, do you want to do this movie? It's really wild. It's got crazy tentacle sex. I know you're into weird stuff, horror comedy. And I was like, I'm literally leaving town right now to go shoot a movie. I'll be back in a month. And it started just days after I got back. So I had no time to prep or work on this at all until I got to set. And then when we were in post, as soon as we got done with the first edit and I gave Addison my notes, he was like, oh my God, please come on as a producer. Please help me finish the movie. And so then I came into all of post, and I was in the edit room every day for the 3 months or whatever, and then sound and the mixes and all that, and really helped shape the movie. And it was really nice of them to let me in there. I mean, I've produced and edited several movies, so I think he valued my opinion in the room. And
that's fantastic.
That's very cool. Now, the editing is a big deal in this movie because there is an enormous amount of like puppetry tentacle sex, but it is not gross. I mean, it's creepy and it's dramatic, but it's not.
No, I would say the grossest part of the movie is the earwax.
The earwax.
I was fine watching everything. Anytime you went to go clean your ears, I just had to look down. I actually couldn't really watch it.
The audiences always go, oh.
But
that's awesome.
Wild that there's like weird tentacle alien sex stuff going on, and you're
Well,
whatever. And then the earwax.
I'm really into this sounds really creepy on a show that I do with my sister, but the editing of the tentacle sex scenes were, I think, so good. Yeah. I mean, because although it's like a sexual scene, I felt like one of the most amazing things about the movie is that the feeling of euphoria that people are getting isn't ecstasy. It's a lack of worry. It's a lack of anxiety. And the editing of those scenes really hammers that home and sells it. And I thought that was such a unique element of it. What went into, well, A, your performance, because you are, but as are the other actors doing scenes like that. But it's not like moaning and groaning for ecstasy's sake. It's really this like relief. And as someone who deals with anxiety in my own life, I was like, oh, that relief sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, that was the conversation from the beginning when I read the script, was how we were going to handle that scene in particular for my character. And it was just really important to Addison that I felt comfortable, because it could go a million ways. And we had practical limits because we wanted to use all practical tentacles, and we literally had only 6 of them or something. Like Russell Effects, who did our special effects, they're amazing. They, built all of these things and also had some left over from other movies, and we just like kind of pieced it together. And so knowing our limits of like, all right, well, we have this many tentacles, this one's this long, this one's this long, how are we going to attach it? And then we worked backwards as to like what we would be able to see in film. And I don't know, I just really leaned into her just losing herself in those moments. And I mean, shooting sex scenes is very technical, and it's not sexy at all, and it's it takes a whole day to shoot that scene, but it was really wonderful, and everyone was so respectful on the day, and we didn't quite know what we were doing, like how we were going to put it all together in the end, but we got all the pieces. And then in the edit, our editor, Jessica Weber, who's amazing, she just really found the flow of what we did on the day. And then, we just kind of tweaked it and perfected it as we went. And we started with Joey's scene first, and then once we figured that out, then use that same formula for like the other couple of scenes that you see. But yeah, I think she did a great job, and our DP Justin did an amazing job of capturing all these little pieces, and it was a really long, sticky, technical day.
Definitely.
Yeah, especially being lifted up in the air. We had to have stunt people there and stuff like that. Yeah, because I was rigged, and we had to, and it's so funny because as soon as I'm up and I'm done posing, as soon as I finish, somebody has to come in, like all these people, and like lift me down and like not break the tentacles, and like it was ridiculous. I'm really proud of it though. I think it's such a beautiful scene.
It is. It's a very beautiful scene. Another thing that's very beautiful in the movie is that house, that location.
Know, it's so crazy.
Where is that? Can I go on vacation there? I mean, I know like
it's really a weird house.
Being, hypnotized by an alien, but still.
I think it was like out in Sun Valley I think so. I don't know. It's a weird house. Oh, like when you're there, you're like, what else do they shoot here? I don't know. No, it's massive, and it was such an important character in the film. And I saw like while they were scouting, they were sending me different houses they were looking at, and when I saw that one, I was like, oh man, that's the one. It's so, who would build that house in real life?
An alien.
Yeah, it was so perfect. It looked like a spaceship. It was really fun. It was a really fun house to work in.
So it's a horror comedy, but the best horror comedies have a lot of heart. And there is an underlying, I think, very deep message here about, and I watched some of this movie with my kids who are not old enough to see it, which is kind of funny, but they love watching when we get screeners for things and they're into it. And they were watching it, but we all had like a very cool conversation about what Joey's journey would have been, and whether it's codependency, whether it's addiction, whether it's what you would do to remove that anxiety. And I was like, look, guys, there's tentacles and people buried in dirt and all of these things in this movie, but like you get what it's really about. And they were, they're young. They were moved by that piece of it. Yeah. How is that how do you connect to that part of the story? How do you feel about that element of the film, again, with all these zany things?
I mean, that was the most important part to me when reading the script, how he was going to handle it. Like, he goes to really dark places, and, you know, Addison's a really great writer, and you can really get lost in the dialogue with the characters. It's very natural. But I wanted to make sure that we were handling all the trauma stuff with care. And when I first met with him, that's what we talked about the whole meeting was I also have OCD just like Joey does. And that was something that I was like, okay, if we're going to handle this, like, I want to make sure you know what you're doing. And Addison also has OCD. So we just kind of bonded over mental illness stuff. And then we talked about the trauma in the movie. And he took my notes on a few things that I thought should change about Joey's story. And he rewrote a couple of those monologues just to kind of fit the story in my head of what she's gone through. And I don't know, we just took a lot of time with it. I love sinking my teeth into emotional stuff like that. And I, you know, like most people, I've had a lot of trauma in my life and I have a lot to connect to. And it was just really kind of a nice balance of the two while filming. Like, I don't know, I don't really stay in character when we're not rolling. And so it was really funny to like be crying and talking about these horrific things. And then as soon as it's cut, it's like, everyone's hip hop dancing, and like it was a really funny, crazy set that we had, and like music. And I was like, wow, I don't know how we're managing to do this, but I don't know. Just I think having a horror comedy is such a good vehicle for getting really serious, real things across in like a very palatable way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely, helps the medicine go down.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
All right, let's talk about the ending of the movie, and then we got to ask you our big question.
Okay.
The big question that everyone who follows the show is at least waiting for us to ask people. The ending has, I think, one of my favorite moments in the movie, which is, without getting too much into it, you're telling the story to a therapist, and rather than react to the actual emotions, the therapist is asking you about all of the
Very technical question.
rules of the universe that we were in. And this is a compliment to the movie, I wasn't thinking about those rules at all, because I was wrapped up in the questions of the codependency.
Put a really funny button on the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So how did that scene come about? Because it is hilarious
but not expected. Like I didn't feel entitled to any of those answers. I didn't need
Yeah.
any of those
I didn't. Yeah,
answers, but it was a really funny one.
that's a great way to.
Well, that's good to know, because when we were kind of tweaking the ending and trying to figure that out in the edit, wanted to make sure people wouldn't question, because like, you know, everybody goes in with different lens, and some people are going to want to pick apart like, well, like all the things that the therapist said, you know, I mean, I guess it's kind of an expositional scene that's like trying to answer all the things the audience might have questions about, but it then just turned into something really funny between these two characters. And we shot that on day one of shooting, and that was also the day we shot my monologue. My monologue in the film was the first thing we shot, 9 a.m., and the first take is what's in the film. Jeez. And so I did like 4 or 5 takes of the monologue, and then we shot the end of the movie.
I was amazed. I was like, she's remembering all of these words and delivering. I mean, it draws you in. You're so great in that scene.
It was a gift to have that at the beginning, even though I really didn't want to do it at the beginning, because I got to find Joey right away on day one. But then we transitioned to the end of the movie and shot that. And I don't know, that day was just such a blur. I'm just so happy that all came together and was funny. And
well, I actually am very satisfied to know that moment with therapist at the end was always planned and in the script, and that you shot it on day one, because you might think like, oh, maybe they got feedback and they needed to, we're gonna have to answer some of these questions. But like I said, it made the ending, it gave an extra punchline to the ending.
Yeah.
But not because I needed those answers or felt entitled to them, but just because when you sort of break the fourth wall in a tiny bit, not break the fourth wall, it's not breaking the fourth wall, but you know what I mean? You kind of like call out certain things.
Yeah.
It can be it's really excellently done. That needle is threaded just so
Good.
To give a great punchline.
Also, having spent a lot of time in therapy, I think that
Yeah.
the point of the movie is what Joey's journey is, and what she's going for, and how she discovers things about herself, like how the whether or not the aliens are even real or they're just a metaphor for some other relationship, and I think that's also what we pulled from the end of that, which was like, yeah, this. It actually really brought me back to the depth that you took the character and where the story went.
Yeah, the movie's it's just fucking ridiculous, and he just did such a good job of making it you like constantly going, oh wait, what am I watching? Like, is this real? Is it not? And I just think the ending just kind of ties it all together.
All right. Speaking of endings, do you have a favorite, or what do you want to say is the best? So it may not even be your favorite, but the best ending of a movie, and you can say the musical flying scene at the end of ONYX, the Fortuitous, and the Talisman of Souls. We accept that answer because we love it. But
you love the ending of that movie, but it can't be a movie that I worked on because it's too many.
All right, it'll just be one of ours.
Complicated.
It'll just be one of ours.
Okay, I should have been thinking about this. I don't know. I'll probably go with I love the ending of The Shining. It's one of my favorite movies. I just think it's so satisfying every time it cuts from him dead in the snow to the photo on the wall. And it's just I don't know. I just think that movie is absolutely perfect. Obviously, it's Kubrick. And I just think I watch that movie at least 3 to 4 times a year. And every time I get to the end, I just feel so fulfilled. So I have to go with the ending of The Shining.
Does it get less scary every time? Because it doesn't get less scary.
No, but that's the fun of it. That movie works every time.
Every time.
It's my mom and I's favorite movie to watch together. We're obsessed with it. And yeah, the ending of Shining, I think, is great.
That's great.
That's not a very exciting answer.
I think
No, that's a great answer. And also, it's another one that it doesn't need to explain itself. It's left people mystified forever. You know how many times I've watched a YouTube video trying to explain the end of that movie?
Right.
And that lack of resolution is awesome, especially in horror.
Yeah.
Right? I feel Alien's probably my favorite movie ever.
Yeah.
And I feel like the less we know about the aliens, the better.
Totally. I love movies that make you have to kind of come up with your own idea of what happened in the ending. Yeah. Love that movie.
All right.
So we have with us Olivia Taylor Dudley, an awesome actor, producer, writer. Sounds like an amazing collaborator, too, now that we've heard more about the making of this movie. The movie is Touch Me. It is a super cool horror comedy with a lot of depth. We're so grateful you made time with us on your whirlwind schedule, made time to come and sit with us. And we cannot wait to see the next thing that you're in and see this movie continue its amazing success.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm excited for people to see this movie.
Thanks. Thank you for listening to Friday Night Movie, the sibling rivalry and pop culture podcast. Join the Friday Night Movie family by following @FryNightMovie on all of the socials and visiting our website, FryNightMovie.com. Our theme song is by What Does It Eat? And make sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening.